here we are, episode 60. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to wrap everything up, talk about insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and how weight loss actually happens. So, this is an amazing episode so that you can finally get an understanding as okay, this is what I need to do in order to be successful at managing my weight while dealing with one of the complications that come out of insulin resistance. If you have been listening to this series and thinking, okay, now I understand insulin resistance, but how do I actually lose the weight? Some people were messaging me and asking, okay, like, how do I actually lose the weight? This episode is that missing piece that I hope to wrap everything up and give it to you because weight loss is possible with insulin resistance, is possible with prediabetes, is possible with type 2 diabetes or PCOS, but it doesn't happen by forcing your body harder. It happens by changing the signals your body receives. That's the secret. Okay. Welcome back to the Path to Better A1C podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Peña. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach, a diabetes prevention program lifestyle coach, founder of GEMP Coaching, and creator of the A1C Reset Protocol, which is my signature 12-week health coaching program, one-on-one coaching program designed to help busy professionals, men and women, improve their insulin sensitivity, lower their A1C, lose weight, prevent diabetes, and build sustainable habits that support their health and wellness without extreme diets and without the burnout. And this is episode 60. It will wrap up our January series on insulin resistance and weight loss. Now, first, where diabetes fits, so nothing is confusing, let's be clear. Insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, they're not necessarily separate problems. I know that it sounds like they are separate. They're not really separate. They actually exist in a continuum of glucose regulation. It's the same root physiology. That's why when you hear me saying, how do you fix the insulin resistance? It's the same way as how do you fix type 2 diabetes or prediabetes? How do you manage that? It's just a matter of different stages, different levels of support. So I'm going to tell you this, whether you're insulin resistant with normal labs, maybe you have been diagnosed with prediabetes, maybe you're already managing type 2 diabetes, the principles we're about to talk, they apply to all of them. So what changes is the intensity and maybe the individualization, obviously, because you may have medications and other situations going on, but the foundation is the same. Now, why weight loss feels harder with insulin resistance? Well, insulin stays elevated longer. We already talked about that. We talked about how fat storage is prioritized when that happens, and then how hard it is for your body to actually use that store fat as energy. And then that triggers the hunger signals. That's pretty much what happens. So when people are told to just eat less, they're being asked to fight their biology, to fight their triggers, to fight those signals. And that's why sometimes the calorie deficits and these diets, they feel harder to sustain. And then the hunger feels unpredictable and the weight loss stalls, even with effort. Why? Because now you're stressed about it. So this is not really a motivation issue. It's a signal issue. Now here's the missing link. Weight loss requires insulin sensitivity first. So you need to shift your focus from I need to lose weight to how can I actually improve my insulin sensitivity? That's how I want you to see it. So here's a key reframe. Weight loss doesn't start by eating less. Weight loss is going to start by improving your insulin sensitivity. And when insulin sensitivity improves, hunger becomes a bit more predictable. So you're going to have more energy throughout the day. So you're not going to just eat whatever out of like those extreme hunger and cravings. The cravings are going to decrease. Calorie awareness, which is a component, is going to become easier. And at that point, you're going to see fat loss occurring without necessarily forcing that restriction. what actually works? Let's talk about what actually works. I know that you've been probably listening. You're like, okay, Jenny, when are you going to decode this? Here it is. Let's get practical. Stabilize blood sugar before you cut calories. I typically go to calories as a last resource because in the end, it's about stabilizing your blood sugar. When you stabilize your blood sugar and you regulate those hunger cues and you have more energy, the weight loss follows. It's like having that goal. But how do you get there? You get there by improving your insulin sensitivity. That's the secret. Now, what does that mean? And again, it's going to sound repetitive, but that is the solution. That is the solution. Protein at meals. Aim for between 20 to 30 grams of protein. Fiber-rich foods. The general guidelines is about 25 grams of fiber. If you hear different programs and different resource papers are out there, you can include up to 40 grams of fiber a day. Do it slowly. I do have an episode on fiber. Listen to that one. I will try to put the link in the show notes. But protein at meals, fiber-rich foods, consistent eating patterns. That was something that I covered in one of my workshops a year ago about how you're supposed to time your meals and make sure that that pattern works for your energy levels, that it doesn't allow you to get super hungry, that it doesn't allow you to have these extreme cravings, and you're going to be able to control and have fewer glucose spikes and crashes. So you don't need perfection. What you need is stability. And by having the stability, then your insulin sensitivity is going to improve. Your body is not going to be storing fat and then not being able to use that fat. And you are going to see change. Now, step 2, I want you to reduce volatility, not just intake. What do I mean by that? Weight loss works best when you reduce extreme swings. You don't want to have that blood sugar roller coaster in your blood sugar. You don't want to have that roller coaster even in your intake of calories. Avoid long fasts that increase stress. It's telling your body that I don't know when my next meal is going to come from. Your metabolism slows down. You're going into starvation mode, especially when you go into lower than 1,200 calories. I will never, the moment that somebody tells me something like that, I'll be like, you need to make sure you eat more. Stop eating meals just to be good. What you want is a regulated system that is going to enable all these signals to regulate. You're going to be able to lose the weight more efficiently than a stress one. We already talked about all the hormonal changes and how they all interact. So avoid increasing stress triggers. Now, what is step 3? Create a gentle calorie deficit. Remember, I told you that, yes, calories in, calories out is not the one factor, but it is a factor. Now, I want you to see this as not an aggressive one, because once insulin sensitivity improves, hunger signals calm down, your feelings of fullness get regulated, eating less will happen naturally. It's not going to happen forcefully. And this is where the weight loss becomes sustainable. Not from willpower, but from physiology catching up. And then when that happens, that's when I talk to my clients and I'm like, okay, now let's see. That would be the case in which I will suggest start tracking your food, not for restriction, for information. And look at, what did you eat? What were the macros? How did you feel that day? Did you get hungrier? Did you have more cravings? Did you feel focused? Did you feel brain fog? It gives you information. And also when you see it, you already know, oh, this seems to work. And if I do all of these things, it seems that I am sustainably reducing my weight. Then you already know what works for you. You have already assessed what works for you, and your insulin sensitivity has improved. Now, or diabetes may require extra support. Yes, there is some scenarios in which type 2 diabetes may need extra support. Medication may be necessary and appropriate. Talk to your provider about it, right? Monitoring matters more, and weight loss may be slower, and that is okay. As slowness is consistent. Weight loss is not the only marker for your progress. Improved A1C, stable glucose, your energy levels, not having all these complications that come with type 2 diabetes, those are the things that you need to focus on. And this is not about avoiding care. I don't want you to think like, well, I'm going to lose weight so that it's not about avoiding care, but more about supporting your system alongside it. I know that I shared a lot. Now, the strategy. This is the takeaway that I want you to bring home after all these weeks of talking about it. If you want to lose weight with insulin resistance while having prediabetes or PCOS or type 2 diabetes, please focus on stabilizing blood sugar first. Support insulin sensitivity consistently. Remember that these conditions, they didn't develop overnight, so you're not going to fix them in a week. Avoid extreme restrictions. It actually sends additional triggers to your body, and they're not sustainable for the most part. Let appetite regulation return by focusing on that insulin resistance, and then you apply that gentle calorie awareness. Weight loss is going to be a result. It's not the starting point, and it's not even the journey. It's just something that happens as a result of these things that you are focusing on. Now, I know you're going to think, what is my simple plan, Jenny? It's not going to sound very different. Add protein to breakfast and keep building, and do it for lunch, do it for dinner, 20 to 30 grams. Most of us need more than that, but I would say start with that. Build a balanced afternoon snack. If you need that snack, make sure that follows my PFF formula. Stop skipping meals. I know. Talk to your doctor if you disagree with me. It's okay. You don't need to follow my direction. But what I have seen coaching over 300 people, skipping meals backfires a lot more than not. And then eat meals at more consistent times so that you can find out what is that timing that works and that regulates and that keeps your cycles stable. Focus on sleep or stress. Maybe that's the one thing that you need to focus this week on so that you can balance your hormones, because we have been talking about all these things. But whatever you do, one simple change is enough to start shifting the system. Start with one thing, focus on that for a week or two, be consistent with it, then build something else. And you are going to see changes. Now, this January series wasn't about rules, and I hope that you embrace it like that, but more about understanding your body, understanding the biology, understanding why, if you have PCOS and prediabetes, why this other person loses weight by doing exactly the same thing that I do. It's because your body's different. One message I want you to leave with: your body is not broken. The body is just responding to signals, and those signals can be changed. And now that you have awareness, you are paying attention to all of them. In February, we're going to build on this foundation, and we're going to talk about stress and cortisol and sleep habits and environment, and how to actually help you incorporate habits. Why discipline breaks down under metabolic stress. And also, we're going to talk about how to create change that actually sticks. Because obviously, we know what we need to do. The hardest part is to actually incorporate it and make it stick. So if this series helped you understand why weight loss has felt so hard, follow the podcast so you don't miss what's next. Share this with someone who feels stuck, and check the show notes for all the resources, announcements, and support. Weight loss does not have to be something that you force. It is better when it's supported. And if you need to chat with somebody, I offer clarity calls. You can feel free to book a 20-minute session. We'll talk and I'll help you get clarity as to what your next step is. If you need support and you want a safe place where you can chat about it, book a clarity call with me. We'll talk about what your next step should be. And if you're a good fit for my A1C reset protocol, I'll be more than glad to share more information about it. Have an amazing rest of your week. Bye.